going, everybody? And welcome back to our first episode of On Your Mind YT. In this series slash podcast, we're going to be talking about issues that the crowd brings up, and we're going to be discussing them and telling you our opinion on how things are. In this episode, which is our first episode, we have our guests, Jonathan Chalouhi and Youssef El Kady.
Let's go, guys. So today we're going to be talking about two topics that they are both very passionate about. We're talking about music and basketball. So to start things off, we're going to be talking about mumble rap and how the evolution of music has changed over time. So let's start this debate off, alright guys? So first of all, it doesn't have to be formal or anything, but you can just go.
What are your thoughts on mumble rap?
Right now.
Personally, I feel it's like a very negative form of like what music could be, and as in like music we've like seen in the past, they've all kind of like followed a similar way of like good music, and everyone always agreed to it being good music, and there was no conflict like between music. Now like with mumble rap and like this whole type of music and this whole like game as they call it, it's a lot more like informal, and it's more based on the person themselves than the actual music, because with this type of genre these days, how they changed it, pretty much all the music sounds the same, but all of the artists, like the music, the artist is what makes them like different, whether like how much money they have or how famous they are or how they sound. The music itself is not what people look for anymore.
So are you a fan of it, are you saying?
Personally, I'm not a fan of it, and I'm more a fan of older hip hop.
Okay, so what about you?
I'm not gonna disagree with Jonathan, but I'm gonna definitely put like my 2 cents in.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that not all the music today sounds the same at all. Whether it be like Playboi Carti or Lil Uzi Vert, like them compared to Lil Pump, sounds nothing alike. Lil Skies and Lil Pump, nothing alike. All the Lils, they don't sound alike. So your point is almost irrelevant. But
Okay.
I get where you're coming from about the mumble rap.
What I'm saying, okay, so obviously there's like lots of different artists. Like personally, I even like someone like, for example, Travis Scott and like Lil
How are you
Uzi
gonna
Vert.
call them a mumble rap?
They're not mumble rappers.
It's just a new generation.
So,
it's a new wave.
I'm not saying specifically mumble rap. This is about like new rap these days in general. You know, I'm not saying that like Travis Scott and like Lil Uzi Vert is bad. I'm saying like there's like all these new rappers like YB and Corday and like Lil Pump, and they all just sound the same, and like all their songs.
You can come from the old head perspective, but like
You know what I think? I think mumble rap is a good thing for our generation. And I might get some
Exactly.
backfire. It doesn't mean I like mumble rap. It just means I think that mumble rap is more suited for millennials than say classic music or rock bands. If you think about it, millennials are kind of characterized by the old generations as less hardworking, and they're more into new stuff and new ways of thinking and being alive. And I think that's kind of like personified by mumble rap, and how like mumble rap is portrayed. It's catchy. There's not many words to it, so they don't have to think much. It's kind of like the embodiment of what people think millennials really are. So you don't have to like mumble rap to understand why mumble rap fits in our current generation.
But don't you think that like songs nowadays kind of just lack meaning? Like a lot of the times back
like
then.
what I'm saying.
But do they need meaning?
They
For
do.
us,
Do
they don't
millennials
need
need meaning?
Because we're
Yusuf
so
doesn't like
used to-
meaning.
we don't need.
He just likes the
meaning.
catchy
You know what I mean?
tunes.
I'm just saying that like the quality of music is so trash.
If you want to
and
listen to music with meaning, just search up old music.
Yeah, but don't you
It
think
doesn't
that
work
people
like that.
should not adapt but learn to make old music again? Like, what do you think old music
Exactly.
lacks that new
it's
music
not only
has
like
now?
okay, the type of rap that I'm talking about is like not just Tupac, but like people you might not know of, like Tribe Called Quest and like Slum Village and like J Dilla. You don't know that obviously because all you listen to is like YB.
Yeah,
and
but no
Cordae
one,
and, like,
no one knew
Lil
Quest
Pump.
like back in the day either.
Yeah, but no, they did though. That's the thing.
Okay,
And,
fine.
so what I see is that like the last artist that was like in like old hip hop is MF Doom. You obviously don't know me either. What I'm saying though is now rap and music in general is more about the person than the music. And you
What
can
do you mean
say
by
that's-
that?
You can say that's fine, but like when you
That's
when you
because the
listen-
world has evolved.
What do you
The
mean
world
by that?
isn't only like back then. It was literally only about music. Now it's about everything else.
Exactly. Like, if you really want to tell me the only reason Lil Pump is as famous is because of his music and how great it is, that's wrong.
It's catchy.
Obviously, because
he's-
his persona.
His persona, exactly, and like 6ix9ine too, his persona and all that. And when you act like that, where do you end up? In jail. So
That's only when you. That's only when you. The
That's
way
only
you
when
perceive people perceive you is true. Lil Pump isn't actually that stupid.
he really
He's
is.
still young. Like all these people like making so much money and they're not even 20 yet.
And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The
So he's
biggest,
not
the
stupid,
biggest
he's making
concern,
money.
the biggest concern that I see is back then. You take it back like 20 years. There was people, you asked them what kind of genres of music there was, they could give you like 10. Because there was a group of people that listened to like emo music, a group listened to rock, a group listened to rap, a group listened to classical music, a group listened to jazz. Everyone listened to different types of music. So now it's only based on rap. And everyone only listens to rap, you know, which is like a problem because there's no more diversity in music, you know.
So what do you think about someone like X who combines like meanings of songs with kind of like the new school rap?
X was a saint, man. He was a saint.
I mean,
All right,
Ja-
Sarah.
Honestly, a damn shame.
Yo,
bro.
guys, we can't keep speaking over each other.
Okay,
You
yeah,
see, you can't just keep yelling.
It's fun like that.
It's fun- yeah, it's meant to be like that.
All right, I'm just saying, UC just goes over.
Bro, I jump in, bro. I jump in the.
Sarah 1234 has asked, how do you think Ja has contributed to the music scene or mumble rap? Do you think
Also known as Ja. Also known as Ja.
also known as Ja? Do you think this was influential in the mumble rap era, or do you think he strived away from it?
So me personally,
Let me know.
I was quite a fan of Ja until he died. And
So you're not a fan of him once he died.
Someone dying isn't a laughing matter.
no, I'm just saying,
Go.
I'm still a fan of him always. I liked some of his music, but his music kind of drifted onto a more like mainstream kind of perspective. And his music was good because it was pretty diverse, and it was like SNH, as some people call it.
No.
But don't you think that X just kind of like appealed to so many teens who are like going through depression? Like, you know, how Logic
obviously.
made like one of those
Yeah,
songs.
because teenagers like to be depressed, you know. It's just a common thing. Like that's not
Do you
really a
think?
debatable topic. They
Do you
all
think
like to do that.
X or Ja made teens more depressed and kind of made it into a trend,
Yes.
or do you think he was actually there for people when they were
No,
depressed?
He was definitely.
He definitely promoted
I think both.
depression as a
If
trend.
both, yeah, but if you're a true fan of Ja, like I was, like old days, I listened to him on SoundCloud, and his songs weren't really like.
They weren't
the
appealing
SNH
to the
song.
people who were
exactly. They
depressed.
were like
they were more
like really hard.
I do
like,
what I want to.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
were like really hard, loud songs.
And then
that
he
were not-
moved into a
and
depressive
he
matter.
released one song
Sort
that
of.
was like that kind of sad level, and it got really popular.
So he started making
him,
more sad
obviously,
music.
he did more songs like that, and he kind of changed his genre of music to that. And I think like that kind of like, I don't know how to say it. That's my perspective.
I personally think he was depressed and he made music because that was kind of like his passion in a way of being depressed.
Yeah, obviously.
And kids kind of just hopped on the trend or the bandwagon and started acting depressed.
So I think he was good. Like as the question was like whether he's good or not. I think it was good because like he gave people that were actually depressed like music to go to. But some people also say that like listening to depressing music while you're depressed makes it worse. But like also it was just like a place for people to go to, and it was like a good thing. So I think he was good, but I also think how he made depression like a mainstream thing was not that great. But
So I guess we can all agree to disagree on this matter, as some people believe that mumble rap was very important and like kind of characterized the millennials,
wasn't.
and some people don't believe this. Now we're gonna move on to our next question from Anon500, who said this is kind of more general. Do you think music has advanced personally? Do you think music has advanced over the years or declined in quality?
In what way? Like, in
In what
terms of
sense?
quality?
In terms of quality.
decline, dude.
But
Decline.
in what genre? Are you talking about all genres?
We're talking about just music in general, you know, before people
Definitely.
used to listen to rap, before people used to listen to bands and classical singers and Taylor Swift, and now we've kind of moved into like the lean rapping and the tats, and
Okay,
Trap rap.
it's,
I think
it's decline, and I'll tell you why. Listen.
let's hear it.
So back then, if you wanted to make a song, even if you go way back, it was classical music, right?
Yep.
So you'd have to be not only extremely musically skilled, because not only the best musical artists can compose music, as in classical music, they have to sit and compose music for days or like weeks even. And that was like a lot of time. It took obviously made a great quality piece, right?
But now they just make on SoundCloud.
Yeah,
in
that's
seconds.
facts. Like this guy right
No,
here.
they do
No,
depend on
listen,
SoundCloud
I'm not
as
finished.
well.
I'm not
It
finished.
literally
I'm not
nowadays
finished.
it'll take you 30 minutes
Exactly.
to make a beat.
And even if you go like even if like 40 years back, like to like old generation, they have to make a band and they'd write the music, which is like lyrics, and then they have to find band members to write the notes too.
And to practice
that was
that,
like
yeah.
hard as well, and it produced quality. These days, you can sit on your laptop, 5 minutes make a drum beat, 2 minutes make a piano, and just say lean and yeah 50 times in the song, and you have like a number one hit song. And this song gets like really like good responses from. That's what like really concerns me, because this really little effort can like produce so much more than before.
I think that like jazz and not hip hop, but like the more older versions of music haven't really changed as much, because I don't know, I feel like you should still keep like its originality. For example, like jazz and stuff, like you're still gonna play the instrument the same way that you did like 100
Why,
years ago.
why do you say that though?
Because like I have like personally I don't listen to jazz that much. I know Jonathan does, but like I don't think I don't think that it's changed so much in terms of its like style, but I think rap has evolved the most simply because like
Evolved or declined?
Rap.
evolved in
Evolved an audience.
in good and bad
It
ways.
evolved
Alright.
an audience
You know?
because
It didn't
it evolved
evolve
an
an
audience
audience.
because rap stole every audience from other genres.
It didn't evolve at all. It just no. To people like us, it didn't evolve, but to
Because
the
we don't have
world,
any
it
other
has
idea.
evolved.
All right, and now to wrap up our final thoughts on the topic of music, Ahmud Smash has asked which Ahmud Smash. We're sorry for the reactions of our members, but he just wanted to ask, what's your favorite genre of music and why?
Ooh, good question.
Each one of us can take our turns.
Alright,
You
go
see, it
on.
doesn't mean
I
you're
won't-
right.
I won't-
It doesn't mean you're
Okay,
right.
we'll start off like
I
this.
won't
We'll
go
jump.
first because I have a lot.
Okay, you see, go first.
You're complicated.
Trash rap. Omar, what's yours?
Okay.
You like trash rap?
I don't like
Okay,
trash.
I'm going, bro.
Okay.
Bro, I like all music.
But name me 3 genres of music.
Rap.
Next
Alright,
one.
guys. So honestly, I like personally, don't make fun of me. I'm a fan of Young Thug. Okay, I like his voice. Yeah, Thugger. It's pretty
Red
good. rapper.
calamari skin?
In
Okay.
that sense, I like mumble rap, but I also like classical music and like old stuff because I feel like they're timeless like pieces. You know, like you can always listen to them like
Timeless
100 years later, like you'll still be able to listen to them and they'll have the same value. You get me?
Fair point.
So I
Fair
think
point.
like probably obviously rap because I think like you guys and all my other friends listen to the same thing, so I'm kind of in a way influenced of based on what music I like to listen to, but at the same time I do show a bit of interest in it. So.
All
I
right.
just got a quick question, Omar.
Yeah, say.
Don't
do you think
roast
if
Young
you didn't-
Thug.
No. Do you think if you didn't like grow up around us, you'd like the same music? Or do you think you're based off of your environment only?
I mean, I think I would like the same music, but
Environment
I
plays a
wouldn't be,
factor.
Yeah, I don't think
It
I'd be
very much
exposed
does.
to it as much, you know?
That's true.
Like you guys, everyone has their own different like favorite artists, and I think like, for example, like Take You showed me Young Thug, and I never knew about him, and I never would have known about him until like now, for example, you know? So I think like getting exposed to stuff like kind of opens up to my interests.
Yes.
As for my favorite genres, I'd just go for any hip hop song. I'm a big fan of hip hop, and one of my favorite genres is rap, but definitely not mumble rap. I like rap that has some lyrics and some meaning behind
Yes,
it.
sir.
So like
such
Eminem.
as such as Eminem, you know,
Never
Eminem's not more of a rapper. I feel like he's more of a lyricist. You know, he's kind of like a poet in a way, in a rap type of way. And I'm a big fan of Chance the Rapper. 'Cause Chance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my
He
god!
hasn't made the album since 2016 though.
But the 2016 album was fire. Thank you so much.
So personally, me, I have lots of favorable genres, but if I had to narrow it down, I'd probably narrow it down to either hip hop because I truly like hip hop, and I have, even though I don't like many parts of it, I still like the old hip hop, for example, and like some good hip hop these days, like Travis Scott and Tyler the Creator. Also, R&B is pretty good for me, like bands such as The Internet.
is it
which
because you
like-
play music though? Is it like
I
because
mean,
you play instruments?
Yeah, like the instruments I play, I also listen to the genres for them. For example, like
Yeah.
indie rock and like indie music, I play and listen to, and I like it a lot as well. So like if I'd narrow it down, probably four to jazz. Four.
Jazz, R&B.
Jazz, R&B, indie, and rap, hip hop.
All right, and that wraps up our music topic. Now our next topic, we're gonna be talking about
Topic 2.
something everyone's passionate about on this table except for me, and it's gonna be basketball. And we wanted to ask Chandler53 has asked, do you think it's possible for high schoolers or people in varsity that aren't in America, do you think that they have a chance to be able to succeed and make it to the NBA or into the professionals?
Okay,
Never,
Let me start off.
ever,
saying-
The competition here is way too low.
I'm saying, is the competition here just as high as it is in America, giving kids the chance to be able to go to the NBA, or do you think this is only centralized around American basketball?
American basketball.
Do you think the NBA? Do you think the NBA
Okay,
is
there's
only?
Basketball is an American sport. It's not a sport that was brought up.
It was made in Britain. Okay, continue.
It was made in Britain.
For
It was made in
example,
Canada.
dude, so like I'm saying that for basketball, I don't
Like,
think
bro.
they give as much opportunities because they don't see it as a national sport, whereas American football and basketball in America is widely known. So I think not only that, but because it's a widely known sport in America, they train every day because you know it's like a sport
Yeah.
that's well known, you know.
And the way I see it also is like, it's not impossible because there are obviously lots of foreign basketball players, professional players, even more to this day, for example, like Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, all these European players are coming from Europe,
Yeah.
purely from Europe. Not
So
from
do you-
America.
so do you believe it's possible?
Professionally though.
He-
before
but
he
he's
came.
still
Because
playing
the
in
age,
Europe only.
the age you can play professionally at, you can be 15 and play
He's-
on Real
he's
Madrid.
21.
in
So then do you
Spain.
think
21.
we could just go from Dubai straight to Euroleague?
I think Dubai in general.
Maybe.
is very.
Like you see Lamelo and you see Leandro.
I don't
they
think it's
played in,
possible,
like,
honestly.
I think
The
it's
competition,
possible.
the competition's way too
These
low.
guys
It's
are
not
like
impossible.
6'9", bro.
It's like
These
it's
guys are,
like
like, crazy
really
good.
it's really unlikely, but it's possible, but it's extremely unlikely because you look at the best players we have in Dubai alone, like the best players.
The ones that like make
They
impact
could
like 1 out of
barely
1,000.
make-
and-
Yeah, no, the
They
ones
could probably barely make like a Division 2 team.
there, like for example, someone Serafin, you know Serafin.
Seraphim could probably make like a Division
Serafin,
2.
he's like probably considered like one of the best players in Dubai like a few years ago, like young players, and I don't think he even made Division 2 back in America.
All right.
He got a scholarship.
But Division 2.
So I guess we can all agree that it's centralized around American basketball, with some European exceptions. But countries like the Middle East, the competition might not be high enough to be able to perform in the NBA leagues. Maybe we can perform the Asia leagues. Now, for something that we can all probably agree on, we're gonna want Yusi to go under the table. Just do it. Just do it. Just do as you told. We're gonna be using hand signals to say our honest opinion.
What do you?
Don't look. Do you
Oh,
guys
don't-
think
shut up.
that UC has a chance at the NBA? All right, our next question comes from Abdul_Max, and he wants to ask, what are your opinions on LeBron James not making the playoffs?
Okay. Let me start because I support the Lakers. Okay. So basically,
It's gonna get passionate,
Did he put
guys.
him last year too?
what? No, because Lonzo wasn't there. Okay. Basically,
Are you a one-player supporter or a team supporter? Be honest, right here.
both.
One player, Carmelo Anthony.
It's either
No,
or.
he doesn't even.
He
have
doesn't
a
play
contract.
for a
He
team.
doesn't- He's gonna retire like Chris
That was
Bosh.
a joke. All right. continue.
Okay, so basically,
Chris
I
Bosh
think
didn't retire. That's how you
Keep
have-
crying, Jonathan. It's Omar's turn to
basically,
speak.
What happened right now? LeBron James played a game. He got a triple double and they got the dub. He could have played. He could have done that in Brooklyn against Brooklyn and they could have made the playoffs.
So what are your
Or they could've
opinions
won
on
it.
him not making the playoffs?
I'm just saying, I don't think he put as much effort. I think at the same time he has a lot of pressure, best player in the world. So I don't really know like how he feels on his side, but I personally think that they should have done more as a team, and I don't think his teammates should have been like, "Oh, LeBron's not playing, so we're not gonna play."
Do you think he cares? I mean, like
At
he's
this
making
point,
he's
he
making
doesn't-
that
he
much
shouldn't
money.
care.
He's making
He
that much
should,
money.
though. It was a
No.
business
For the fans, he
decision.
should care.
He didn't
Of
come
course,
to
for the
Los
fans, he
Angeles
should
to
care.
win.
But
He
if he
came
goes
to
on the
Los
court,
Angeles
if he
for
goes on the
money.
court and loses, do you think he's gonna be like? You think he'll be
Yes,
nervous going onto the
obviously.
court?
It's his
This is the first time him not making the
Steve.
playoffs since 2005.
It's the
But do you
first
think he
time, like-
cares? I mean, he'll just
Yes,
go home
okay.
to his mansion,
Here's what I
sleep
think.
with his,
Here's what I think.
to his
I think-
family. You know.
I think since the trade deadline, once the trade deadline finished, he knew he wasn't making the playoffs because he was left with a team that he didn't know how to play with. And for example, last year with the Cavaliers, he was a bit low. And once they got the trades off the trade deadline, they came to the finals with only LeBron. The second best player was Kevin Love, right?
Yeah.
Even after the groin injury, I think since then he knew everything was over because he was third seed. And when he was injured, they lost like 10 games in a row and they dropped to
But
what?
they were saying that he
9?
wasn't supposed to play until like 5 months after because of the groin injury, because he injured it like twice or 3 times.
But I think it's very unlikely that he dropped since he dropped from third seed to 9th/10th seed when he was out. I think it's very unlikely that he had a really certain idea that he was about to make the playoffs, especially after the trade
because
deadline.
they had the same record as last year.
But
at,
if you look at the stats, I don't know the stats specifically, but it's I think it was efficiency, and with or without LeBron, they had the same record by some date in March, or something.
Yeah, they did.
That's
The same
obviously
record.
Same
With or
record,
without
with or
him.
without him.
Okay,
but at the same time, Lonzo wasn't there.
yeah.
So
And the
he's out for the
efficiencies
season.
with Lonzo was a lot better than without Lonzo. I saw that.
Even
before.
if they made the playoffs, they were gonna go far.
Yeah, obviously. Because
they
if you
only-
look at the Lakers season if you look at the season this year, the groin injury started it off, which was a big hit to them. They were playing with a completely new team. They went from being a young squad with all leading each other to LeBron, best player in the world, leading all of them. With Luke Walton as with the bad coaching rumors
He's
and all
gonna
that.
get fired though.
He'll be fired,
Yeah,
obviously.
He's gonna get fired.
And especially, I think the biggest part, which was how they had the trade deadline, and rumors went out how LeBron himself was going to trade the entire team for Anthony Davis, and that didn't happen. So that
Yeah.
obviously stirred up a lot in the locker room, and that obviously made huge problems with the team and kind of defeated chemistry, which led them to lead a lot of games because after the trade deadline, that's when they started to dip in the standings even more. So I feel all that's happened to them this season was really not in their favor to win the playoffs. But I truly feel next season, if they get a good guard such as Kemba Walker or Klay Thompson, anyone, if they get a good second player on the team, I feel they have a great chance to win the
Okay.
finals.
So
They
final
don't.
thoughts.
Oh my
Final
God.
thoughts on the Lakers not making the playoffs. One sentence.
Predicted.
That's not a sentence, but thank you.
Sentence or words? Wait.
It's too late. Your turn
One-
is
one
over.
word,
Your
one
turn is
word.
over. You can
one
sit
word,
down.
one sentence. I feel like they knew it was coming and it'll be better next year.
No.
All right.
way, they
I don't
You see?
think LeBron really
It's
cares.
definitely
LeBron
news.
didn't move to win the playoffs this year.
All right, that's a
He
sentence.
just moved to win it.
I think just it was unexpected because they all have the mentality that they want to win. At the back of their minds, they might think that they're gonna lose, but at the end of the day, they still like, we still gotta push it to the end.
I feel like
The
after
Knicks
It's
I
what
think that-
unpredicted.
I feel like after what you guys said, they're sitting up in the locker room. I think their morale wasn't in the right place.
And you're right.
They
And
didn't. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the team skill level to make it in the West.
Exactly.
If they were in the East, sure.
Do you really think
Alright.
they're gonna beat a top West seed if they made it to the playoffs somehow? You think they would have beat the Warriors or the Nuggets with KCP as starting point guard?
Dude, okay, fine. Thinking that LeBron is someone who came out of high school and like rumors of him, what would have happened if he went to college? Do you guys think like with the NCAA making like $1 billion a year probably? Do you think that they should be paying college players like
Yes.
Zion,
Yes,
Taco Fall,
definitely.
those guys?
100%.
Definitely.
Especially ones who have already played for their country's team, like RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
He played for Canada in the FIBA World
Yeah,
Cup
yeah.
or something.
There's been a numerous players that have gotten injured in college and they were prospected as top picks and they got injured in college and they got nothing out of it except losing their career. For example, Zion Williamson, who's prospected as the new LeBron James, not the best player, not only the best player this year, but the new LeBron James, which is quite a big thing. And he got injured this year, which could have been really big. And I feel like the NCAA gave him literally nothing for that. In the NBA, they pay him, and NCAA got nothing except more boost for his career in the NBA. But if that was ruined by this injury, then obviously
Can I
it's a big
say something?
problem.
Yeah, here you go.
Finish it off.
Zion
UC.
has such a big impact on the entire world. Because if you don't know, Zion was doing a spin move of some sort and his shoe exploded. His shoe went, like his leg went through the shoe. And this wasn't like any random shoe. This was probably like a $200 shoe.
Yeah,
made by like
Curry 4s, yeah.
made by
Paul George.
Nike.
It was
Yeah.
Paul George.
Oh, Paul George?
Yeah, PG2s.
And
And
the
then-
impact he had made the stock market of Nike go
Drop.
down.
Yeah, 100%. Because people like Skechers and all those are making ads
Exactly.
saying like that won't happen to you if you guys play in these shoes.
Because from
And the fact that they get nothing for it with an impact like that is crazy.
And now for our final question on this basketball topic. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial one, so you guys are going to have to stick with me. But this is asked by Dawood Samrain. Do you think the skill level of boys junior varsity and varsity is comparable to the skill level of girls basketball JV and V?
my God.
okay.
What are your thoughts on
In
how the
relation
girls
to
play
any sport
to how
at
the boys
this
play?
Whoa, relax there.
Literally any
Be careful
sport
what
at this
comes out
school.
next.
Think about
So
your
so
words.
so you're saying this doesn't only apply to basketball, it applies to everything
It
else.
applies
I
to
think-
everything else,
Oh, but
especially,
everything
especially
sports related.
basketball and football, especially.
So what are your thoughts?
Okay, before you say that,
There is no comparison.
So boys
The
are just that much better.
best girl on.
No
well,
names,
maybe
please.
this JV,
No
or
names,
maybe
please.
this varsity, this what do you call it? Football team. Maybe they could have beaten a couple of the JV.
Yeah, because there's like pretty good girls.
That's
in
for
the
football.
Yeah.
I think for
Basketball,
every sport
that's only for
requires a bit of
professionals.
talent, you know?
Yeah.
Every sport requires a bit of talent. So
Here's
I
the
think
thing: if you're talking about sports in general, take volleyball, swimming, track and field, and like cross country and like academic games. Those are the gender doesn't really matter because the swimming is pretty
It's
comparable.
not that they don't matter.
I mean, it
Some
does
people
matter.
care
Yeah,
about them.
But like for those sports in general, the comparisons.
Keep crying in the corner, dude.
Alright, go.
Okay, those sports in general, I think the comparison is a lot less than you take like basketball and football and like basketball
Because I
and
think
football.
there's major sports.
Yeah,
you know?
because swimming, like they're kind of the same, as well as track and like volleyball. Because volleyball, we used to have like really good girls in the volleyball
The
team.
girls team is better than the guys.
Yeah,
I
but
believe
the girls team, in that
100%.
case is better than guys. But you take basketball and football, the
Sports that are actually played.
yeah.
Cut.
No, keep that in.
Actually, yeah, keep that in. But
I feel like more popular sports in general because I mean if you can name me a volleyball league right now, then no need to debate. But you can name about 4 NBA, 4 basketball, and 4 football leagues, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like more common sports, you know. And I feel like those are more favored in the guys' side. No controversial words here, just more favored. That's all.
Do you think it's because they were played before women's sport? For example, like WNBA wasn't introduced until like 35 years after NBA was, for example.
we're talking
No,
about
if a
JV
woman-
to varsity level.
If
I
the
know,
women,
but I'm
if the
thinking
women
bigger.
were passionate enough about basketball, they would have started something. Like you see today, feminism spreads across the entire world, so they're not scared to open their mouths.
Exactly. Like for
All right. So what I think is that I'm gonna have to side with the ladies on this one. I don't think it's that they're not capable of this amount of skill. It's that most of the kids, at least we can speak about our school in general, aren't as passionate about these sports as guys. I'm speaking in general. Of course, there are a lot of exceptions, but I feel like if we were to talk about like the basketball boys team versus the girls team, or the football boys team versus the girls team, I can say safely that there are more boys on the boys team who go to after school events and watch the videos and play a lot more than the girls who only go for the first time to try out and make the team, as there might not be enough numbers, or they're just athletically gifted but not gifted to the ability that they need to, which is caused by after school clubs and activities.
Okay, let me tell you this. Do you think it's because they're not performing as well because of the...
I think their drive just
the
isn't there.
stereotype that girls shouldn't be playing sports?
Stereotypes don't have anything to do with it. I just think it's their own personal like thoughts and what they like.
Do you think it's even had a little
Because I mean, what about volleyball? You know, there are some girls
when they're on the field.
Yeah, there are some girls.
This is simple. What guys do to sports in general, when we're at home or we're on free time, we're playing basketball or we're watching basketball videos or we're watching the NBA, right? Or improving, right? Girls, and the time we're doing that, they're either on their phones, like
watching James Jones.
That's the stereotype. What they're supposed to be doing.
They're either like watching.
You think that video of James Jones is real?
Like doing their hair, or they're putting like snaps of like conversations on their spams because they think we all care. You know.
That's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do. Everyone come in and point at Jonathan.
No, I don't do that. I post music. I don't
Yeah,
post
he posts music. Fair,
I don't
fair,
post
fair.
conversation with people that blur the names out.
Come.
He posts his head bobbing to
Yeah.
Wait,
This man right here.
What are your thoughts on the skill level between JV and V girls versus boys?
for
Finish
me,
it off.
I'm just saying that they don't really care more about other things. For example, people that are really passionate and good at basketball, for guys, their whole life is basketball based. For the girls, they really don't care. They just do it during season 2, and when it's not season 2, they don't do anything.
All right,
with
Youssef?
basketball.
JV, there's no comparison. The JV guys for both teams, or all teams in the school, is like, there's no comparison to the girls. I feel like they're, as Jonathan said, they've been playing that sport for their entire lives. As for the other girls, they get in it because there's space. But for varsity, there's more of a comparison because let's say for an 11th grader or a 12th grader to be wasting their time playing a season 2 or season 3 or season 1 sport, it's a lot.
Yeah, they have to really like the
They have to be
sport.
really passionate about it.
Yeah, I think that just like it's also about like what you guys said, passion. Because if they don't put in the work, then they won't actually perform, like outperform other teams and stuff. So I think mainly it's just, I think varsity you could compare some like volleyball maybe, swimming maybe, because like for example like there are a lot of girls in swimming who break records now, like that boys aren't even close to reaching, you know. So I think there are times where you can compare, but there are times where you obviously can't.
And that's gonna be a wrap on this episode of On Your Mind TV.
That's a wrap.
Cut it! Yeah! That was actually a fire episode.